speaks. Hush begins to move. I felt the hours soften at the seams, as if the day had learned a gentler shape. No ringing sign came down to name the change. No sudden gold ran through the sleeping gray. Still something in the distance, loose and slow, and something near grew easier to trust. The weight I knew by heart did not depart, yet it no longer filled the entire room. A thinner sorrow drifted through my chest, less like a rule and more like passing weather. I let that almost change remain unnamed, and stood inside its quiet widening. Not a blaze, just a breathing. This is where March breathes first, where the closed and dark turns kind. No wild arrival splits the sky, just a calm, a thread through mind and blood. What felt buried starts to answer. What felt distant leans in close. This is where March breathes first, and I let that tender motion stay. I used to think the heart returned in noise, through louder doors, through visible release. But now I know a softer law of change. The deepest turn can happen under speech. A smaller warmth can alter everything. A slight release can teach the soul to trust. The older ache still circles now and then, but not with the same claim upon my name. It brushes by like memory without teeth, a shadow losing interest in the wall. And I, for once, do not demand an end. I only ask the silence not to harden. Not all grace arrives in brightness. This is where March breathes first, where the closed and dark turns kind. No wild arrival splits the sky, just a calm, a thread through mind and blood. What felt buried starts to answer. What felt distant leans in close. This is where March breathes first, and I let that tender motion stay. Easy now, let it begin. Easy now, let it come in. What was sealed can turn and hear. What was numb can draw more near. Easy now, hold the line. Slow becoming still can shine. Oh, this is where March breathes first. Before the bloom, before the flame. Not a rescue, not a spectacle, just a shift too honest to ignore. What felt buried starts to answer. and I let that tender motion stay. Before the color speaks, a hush begins to move. Something changed before I called it change. The morning reached me through a thinner veil, not bright enough to heal, but bright enough to bend. For weeks I wore the inward cold like skin, believing stillness only meant delay. Then through the hush a different hush appeared, less empty, less severe, less made of stone. It touched the corners where my old fears stayed and made them less exact, less sharp, less loud. No miracle unfolded in the air, the room did not transform around my eyes, but under all I carried, something turned, and turning was already more than none. No thunder, just a thinner burden. This is the pale side of becoming, where the heart revises how it aches. No fevered rise, no rushing anthem, just a softer rhythm taking shape. What was braced begins to listen, what was guarded yields a little. This is the pale side of becoming, and I do not turn from it. I thought renewal had to prove itself, announce its name, arrive with lifted weight. Instead it moved like breath through folded cloth, small enough to miss if I had looked away. The older grief still keeps its older voice, but not the whole authority it had. It speaks then fades into a wider field, where gentler currents keep their patient ground. A hidden kindness works beneath the mind, undoing knots no witness could have seen. And maybe that is how the spirit learns, not by escape, but by a kinder shape. No grand return, just inward weather clearing. This is the pale side of becoming, where the heart revises how it aches. No fevered rise, no rushing anthem, just a softer rhythm taking shape. What was braced begins to listen, what was guarded yields a little. This is the pale side of becoming, and I do not turn from it. Let it reach, let it stay, let it choose a gentler way. What was fixed can learn to flow, what was hidden still can grow. Let it reach, let it move. Not the end of what once hurt me, just the start of another tune. What was braced begins to listen, what was guarded yields a little. This is the pale side of becoming, and I do not turn from it. Something changed before I called it change. I heard an answer without a sound. For too long I mistook the hush for absence, a blank between the hurt and anything beyond. restraint as though it were a shelter. Build whole days out of holding back. But then the air around my thoughts grew mild, and even doubt lost some of its sharp edge. And nearly light moved slowly through the gray, not enough to dazzle, enough to guide. It did not tell me all would soon be well. It only showed me peace can start in fragments, and fragments held with care can gather form until the soul remembers how to open. No flare, just an answer. When the thin light answers, I follow, not because the road is clear, but because the inward noise grows gentler, and the distant part comes near. What felt close starts learning motion, what felt lost begins to hear. When the thin light answers, I follow, and let the softer truth appear. I have survived by narrowing my breath, by keeping all my deeper weather low, that worked until it hardened into habit, until the guard became another ache. Now something subtle reshapes how I stand. The past is still the past, but less complete. It no longer takes the whole horizon, it passes through a wider atmosphere. A steadier pulse begins beneath the ribs, as if the body finally trusts the dawn, not the visible one everyone can name, the hidden one that starts before the color. No spectacle, just a turning. When the thin light answers, I follow, not because the road is clear, but because the inward noise grows gentler, and the distant part comes near. What felt close starts learning motion, what felt lost begins to hear. When the thin light answers, I follow, and let the softer truth appear. Hear it now, under the gray. Hear it now, not far away. What was still can answer to, what was bruised can let things through. Hear it now, steady and small. Sometimes that is best of all. When the thin light answers, I follow, through the hush that used to sting, not to become untouched forever, but to be less ruled by everything. What felt close starts learning motion, what felt lost begins to hear. When the thin light answers, I follow, and let the softer truth appear. I heard an answer without a sound. No one saw it, but I felt it begin. The shift arrived beneath the level of speech, under the places language usually goes. I could not point to anything outside, yet everything within leaned somewhere new. The older heaviness remained in view, though not with that old unchallenged command. lost below the noise, and all the hard-set lines began to blur. It was not joy, not yet, not quite relief, more like the first permission to release a hidden weather move below the skin and taught the body how to loosen first. No bright claim, just a gentler climate. There is soft weather under the skin, turning the inward air towards spring. No open blades, no dramatic healing, just a hush that learns to sing. What stayed rigid starts to bend, what stayed lowered starts to lift. There is soft weather under the skin, and I am learning its language. I used to trust what shouted from the dark, because the dark had history on its side. It knew my name in all its older tones. It knew the places where I tended to close. But now another voice inhabits depth, not louder, only steadier and kind. It does not cancel what once carried me, it simply gives the ache a wider frame. That wider frame becomes a different life, not cured, not pure, but more available. And availability is grace enough when winter has lived too long inside the chest. No sharp break, just a kinder season. There is soft weather under the skin, turning the inward air towards spring. No open blaze, no dramatic healing, just a hush that learns to sing. What stayed rigid starts to bend, what stayed lowered starts to lift. There is soft weather under the skin, and I am learning its language. Slowly now, let it rise. Slowly now, in your eyes. What was clenched can open wide. What was far can live inside. Slowly now, let it flow. Small beginning still can grow. There is soft weather under the skin, before the bloom, before the green. Not every change asks to be witnessed. Some turn holy by staying unseen. Oh, what stayed rigid starts to bend, what stayed lowered starts to lift. There is soft weather under the skin, and I am learning its language. No one saw it, but I felt it begin. Even the grave can carry mercy. I once believed that dimness meant delay, a hallway where no real beginning lived. But now I know the gentler hours hide their own kind of arrival from the eye. The world stayed quiet, maybe too quiet still. Yet something underneath the stillness changed. A smaller tenderness entered the room and altered how the silence touched my fatigue did not dissolve at once. It simply lost its claim to be the whole, and that alone was enough to make me breathe, as though the door within had shifted open. Not a rescue, just a yielding. This is the first mercy of gray, the almost warmth before the bloom. No rush of color floods the ceiling, just calm arriving in the room. What was heavy starts to open, what was hidden starts to wake. This is the first mercy of gray, and I do not rush it. I carry too much winter in my ways, in how I answer tenderness with doubt. Not because I wanted distance then, but because distance once had kept me safe. Now safety takes another shape in me, looks less like retreat and more like room. The soul is finding breath in smaller forms, in pauses, in restraint, in gentle lines. A muted blessing works beneath the skin, too subtle for display, too real to miss. And I, who used to fear what wasn't loud, am learning how to trust the nearly light. Not a breakthrough, just a soft undoing. This is the first mercy of gray, the almost warmth before the bloom. No rush of color floods the ceiling, just calm arriving in the room. What was heavy starts to open, what was hidden starts to wake. This is the first mercy of gray, and I do not rush it. Stay with this, stay and see. Quiet change can still be deep. What was cold can lose its frame. What was sore can change its name. Stay with this, do not flee. Small returns still set you free. This is the first mercy of gray, not the end, but true enough. Not all healing shows its color. Some begins as inward trust. What was heavy starts to open, what was hidden starts to wake. This is the first mercy of gray, and I do not rush it. Even the gray can carry mercy. The far away does not feel the same tonight. There used to be a distance in my chest that kept all softer things at arm's length. It made the world appear through colder glass, turned every almost hope to careful doubt. But now the space between myself and calm has narrowed by degrees I cannot name. No sweeping warmth has crossed the whole of me, yet still I know the inner weather bends. The farther ache has lost its iron edge, the nearer breath has found a steadier path. And in that quiet, narrow tender distance melts in March, not all at once, but true enough. No sudden glory makes the ceiling, just a hush that learns to trust. What was out of reach comes closer, what was hidden leaves its dark. A tender distance melts in March, and I stand still to feel it. I know the old defenses by their sound, the way they tighten language into walls. They served me once, I will not speak against the forms of care I built from fear. But every shelter has its after cost, and every guarded room forgets its door. So I let this new allowance move through me, a smaller faith, a less afraid reply. The heart can change without announcing change. It can revise its rhythm under breath. The clearest proof is often what we feel before the eye can call it anything. No fevered shift, just a calmer measure. A tender distance melts in March, not all at once, but true enough. No sudden glory makes the ceiling, just a hush that learns to trust. What was out of reach comes closer, what was hidden leaves its dark. A tender distance melts in March, and I stand still to feel it. Closer now, still and slow. Closer now, let it show. What was far can answer near, what was tense can learn to hear. Closer now, let it start. Room returns inside the heart. A tender distance melts in March, before the bloom, before the rise. Not complete, not neatly healed, but more alive behind the eyes. What was out of reach comes closer, what was hidden leaves its dark. A tender distance melts in March, and I stand still to feel it. The far away does not feel the same tonight. I could not see it clearly, but it was there. The days had worn a muted face for long, so long I almost called that shade my own. The hours moved like folded paper, then close held, careful, difficult to open. Yet underneath the haze another form was slowly gathering where I could not look. Not brighter, not dramatic, only true. A hidden architecture made of calm. It held the ache without becoming ache. It held the gray without becoming gray. And standing near that unannounced design, I felt the older pressure start to thin. No clear line, just a truer contour. There is a shape beneath the haze, a steadier outline under strain. No flashing sign points down to name it, still it changes everything. What was blurred begins to settle, what was low begins to rise. There is a shape beneath the haze, and I am learning how to trust it. I do not need the world to turn at once to know the inward season has begun. first and softened pulse. The spirit knows them first in easier breath. Even the old fatigue sounds less complete, less like a sentence, more like passing rain. The hidden outline grows in quiet ways, through tenderness, through pauses, through release. And maybe what I called uncertainty was only mercy moving without noise. No loud answer, just a steadier pattern. There is a shape beneath the haze, a steadier outline under strain. No flashing sign points down to name it, still it changes everything. What was blurred begins to settle, what was low begins to rise. There is a shape beneath the haze, and I am learning how to trust it. See it slow, feel it near, see it slow, even here. What was blurred can turn sincere, what was faint can still appear. See it slow, let it stay, soften true, still finds a way. There is a shape beneath the haze, not perfect, not complete, but real. Not the end of every shadow, just the start of a kinder field. What was blurred begins to settle, what was low begins to rise. There is a shape beneath the haze, and I am learning how to trust it. I could not see it clearly, but it was there. The days had worn a muted face for long, so long I almost called that shade my own. The hours moved like folded paper, then close held careful, difficult to open. Yet underneath the haze another form was slowly gathering where I could not look. Not brighter, not dramatic, only true. A hidden architecture made of calm. It held the ache without becoming ache. It held the gray without becoming gray. And standing near that unannounced design, I felt the older pressure start to thin. No clear line, just a truer contour. There is a shape beneath the haze, a steadier outline under strain. No flashing sign points down to name it, still it changes everything. What was blurred begins to settle, what was low begins to rise. There is a shape beneath the haze, and I am learning how to trust it. I do not need the world to turn at once to know the inward season has begun. Some changes come before they can be shown, before they gather language or a face. The body hears them first in softened pulse. The spirit knows them first in easier breath. Even the old fatigue sounds less complete, less like a sentence, more should not bloom, but something leaning toward it. There is a state before the world turns soft, before the hidden green decides to speak. I think I live inside that nearly space where nothing shines, yet nothing stays the same. The air around my thoughts grows less severe. The hard conclusions loosen in my hands. A less afraid expression fills the hush, and all the inward walls grow easier to hear through. No one would call this visible release. No one would write a grand arrival here. Yet under every quiet thing I feel a tender pressure moving life along. No full bloom, just a faithful nearing. I am moving toward the almost bloom, where the buried pulse returns in time. No crowded light pours through the ceiling, just a soft undoing of the night. What was hidden starts remembering, what was tired starts to lean. I am moving toward the almost bloom, and I do not need it faster. The old self still looks over from the grave, still half expects the gentler turn to fade. I understand, it learned from harder years to trust what hurt more than what healed. But healing has a quieter authority. It does not force belief to show its face. It stays beneath the noise and works by breath, by easing, by return, by subtle room. The soul revises slowly, line by line, through unannounced permission and release. And I, who once demanded proof from light, now let the pale horizon be enough. No sharp ascent, just inward opening. I am moving toward the almost bloom, where the buried pulse returns in time. No crowded light pours through the ceiling, just a soft undoing of the night. What was hidden starts remembering, what was tired starts to lean. I am moving toward the almost bloom, and I do not need it faster. Hold this line, hold it still. Small becoming has its will. What was sealed can breathe again. What was worn can start to mend. Hold this line, trust the room. March arrives before the bloom. I am moving toward the almost bloom. Not complete, but not the same. Not finished, not remade in one clear hour, just quietly altered all the way through. What was hidden starts remembering, what was tired starts to lean. I am moving know the loudness of old inward storms, the way they claim the whole of every day. They taught me how to lower everything, how to survive by narrowing my reach. But now another movement lives beneath, a calm progression under thought and blood. It does not ask for witness or applause, it only widens what can still be felt. The old severity turns less exact, the edges answer with a kinder line, and in that softened undercurrent I hear a truer rhythm threading through the gray. Not a flood, just a quiet vein. March runs in a quiet vein, under the ache, under the day. No sudden break in the frozen ceiling, just a patient shift of weight. What was muted starts returning, what was held starts opening. March runs in a quiet vein, and I let that undersong remain. I no longer ask the sky to prove the change. I know some mercies travel underneath, they enter where the eye has little power, through hidden rooms, through pressure, through release. The spirit often hears them first in rest, and how the silence does not bite as hard. The body keeps a record of the thought, not in announcement, in allowance. A less afraid reply comes back from deep, a steadier answer gathers without force, and somehow that unseen arrangement feels more honest than the brighter signs I wanted. Not a spark, just a current turning. March runs in a quiet vein, under the ache, under the day. No sudden break in the frozen ceiling, just a patient shift of weight. What was muted starts returning, what was held starts opening. March runs in a quiet vein, and I let that undersong remain. Feel it there, low and near, feel it there beneath the fear. What was stiff can turn and flow, what was dim can start to glow. Feel it there, true and plain. March runs in a quiet vein, March runs in a quiet vein. Not to erase what winter knew, but to lead it toward a kinder measure, toward a room where less is bruised. What was muted starts returning, what was held starts opening. March runs in a quiet vein, and I let that undersong remain. It moves below the surface first. Below the surface first. way they claim the whole of every day. They taught me how to lower everything, how to survive by narrowing my reach. But now another movement lives beneath, a calm progression under thought and blood. It does not ask for witness or applause. It only widens what can still be felt. The old severity turns less exact. The edges answer with a kinder line. And in that softened undercurrent I hear a truer rhythm threading through the gray. Not a flood, just a quiet vein. March runs in a quiet vein, under the ache, under the day. No sudden break in the frozen ceiling, just a patient shift of weight. What was muted starts returning, what was held starts opening. March runs in a quiet vein, and I let that undersong remain. I no longer ask the sky to prove the change. I know some mercies travel underneath. They enter where the eye has little power, through hidden rooms, through pressure, through release. The spirit often hears them first in rest, and how the silence does not bite as hard. The body keeps a record of the thought, not in announcement, in allowance. A less afraid reply comes back from deep. A steadier answer gathers without force. And somehow that unseen arrangement feels more honest than the brighter signs I wanted. Not a spark, just a current turning. March runs in a quiet vein, under the ache, under the day. No sudden break in the frozen ceiling, just a patient shift of weight. What was muted starts returning, what was held starts opening. March runs in a quiet vein, and I let that undersong remain. Feel it there, low and near. Feel it there beneath the fear. What was stiff can turn and flow. What was dim can start to glow. Feel it there, true and plain. March runs in a quiet vein. March runs in a quiet vein. Not to erase what winter knew, but to lead it toward a kinder measure, toward a room where less is bruised. What was muted starts returning, what was held starts opening. March runs in a quiet vein, and I let that undersong remain. It moves below the surface first. where winter loses force, though not enough for anyone to name. I think I stand along that hidden edge, where all the dullness starts to thin by heartbeats. The weight I wore is still around the room, yet it no longer speaks with final truth. A gentler sentence rises under it, and even silence holds a kinder tone. I have not crossed into a brighter field, I have not left the older shade behind. Still something in me faces differently, as if the soul had turned toward softer ground. No visible bloom, just a nearness. This is the almost green horizon, the line before the world gives in. No rush of color shakes the window, just a calm that enters from within. What was lowered starts remembering, what was narrow grows more wide. This is the almost green horizon, and I stay here long enough to change. I used to think the heart required a break, a marked event, a clean and shining shift. But hearts are slower, stranger, more alive. They change in pressure long before in form. A milder ache can mean the tide has turned, a looser breath can mean the season has. The body knows what language comes too late to say in time what mercy first begins. So I do not rush the dimness into proof, I let its hidden kindness do its work. The nearly green horizon stays enough to call me into patience with myself. No sudden dawn, just a patient leaning. This is the almost green horizon, the line before the world gives in. No rush of color shakes the window, just a calm that enters from within. What was lowered starts remembering, what was narrow grows more wide. This is the almost green horizon, and I stay here long enough to change. Stay and face the quiet line, stay and feel the slower sign. What was dim can still renew, what was bruised can come back through. Stay and face the inward sky, small horizons still reply. This is the almost green horizon, not complete but close enough. Not a spectacle of healing, just a truer kind of trust. What was lowered starts remembering, what was narrow grows more wide. This is the almost green horizon, and I stay here long enough to change. I can feel the turn before I can see it. did not knock. It was simply there. I used to wait for healing like an event, something with edges clear enough to trust, a louder shift, a visible release, a sky undone in color or in flame. But what came now came differently than that. It entered like permission through the hush. The inward pressure slackened by degrees. The harder thoughts grew porous, less complete. And in the unannounced change of the room, I felt another order taking shape. Not one that denied the older ache, one that held it with a kinder hand. No message, just a mercy. This is the kind that arrives in silence, the grace that does not need a name. No crowded light falls through the rafters, just a gentler current through the strain. What was hidden starts to soften, what was braced lets some of go. This is the kind that arrives in silence, and I let it make me slow. There was a season I believed in force, in clenched endurance, in the cost of holding. It got me through but left its mark on breath, turned even hope into a careful thing. Now a quieter wisdom enters me. It says survival need not be my only song. It says the heart can live by subtle laws, by pauses, by release, by room, by trust. The body hears this first before the mind, and how the ribs no longer rise as high. And maybe peace has always come this way, too soft for fear to notice at the door. No spectacle, just a slower answer. This is the kind that arrives in silence, the grace that does not need a name. No crowded light falls through the rafters, just a gentler current through the strain. What was hidden starts to soften, what was braced lets some of go. This is the kind that arrives in silence, and I let it make me slow. Let it in without a sound, let it in where fear was found. What was tense can learn release, what was sharp can turn to peace. Let it in, do not explain. Quiet grace can still remain. This is the kind that arrives in silence, not complete but deeply true. Not the end of every winter, just the start of seeing through. What was hidden starts to soften, what was braced lets some of go. This is the kind that arrives in silence, and I let it make me slow. It did not knock, it was simply there. The turning starts before the color learns itself. I have been living in the nearly season, where change is felt before it can be seen. No branch of certainty leans toward me, no visible bloom arrives to end the gray. Still under all the muted hours I feel a tender urge insisting on its pace. The older strain no longer takes the lead. Its voice still speaks, but from a farther hall. A gentler presence and sensors underneath. Not loudly, only long enough to stay. And in the room between the cold and color, I hear the first true kindness of the year. No full spring, just its promise breathing. This is before the green has a name, before the world says what it means. No bright confession breaks the ceiling, just a calm that gathers softly. What was waiting starts to answer, what was lowered learns to rise. This is before the green has a name, and I honor what begins here. I used to distrust anything this mild, because the mild once vanished when I reached. But this is different in its quiet weight. It lingers even after doubt returns. It widens how I carry memory now, not as a prison, more as weather passed through. The body loosens where it used to brace. The inward air grows warmer by degrees, and even that degree is holy enough when winter's hand has been around so long. I do not need a louder proof than this, a less afraid reply rising from within. No clear sign, just a nearer mercy. This is before the green has a name, before the world says what it means. No bright confession breaks the ceiling, just a calm that gathers softly. What was waiting starts to answer, what was lowered learns to rise. This is before the green has a name, and I honor what begins here. Stay with this unnamed thing, stay with this half-formed spring. What was quiet still can grow, what was dim still learns to glow. With this do not erase, this change can move at its own grace. This is before the green has a name, before the bloom, before the release. Not unfinished in a broken way, just sacred in its slow becoming. What was waiting starts to answer, what was lowered learns to rise. This is before the green has a name, and I honor what begins here. The turning starts before the color learns itself. Some hours arrive to make sharp things less certain. The day came in without a need to shine, and somehow that refusal felt like grace. No spectacle of healing crossed the room, no sudden change unstitched the weight I knew. Yet all the harsher lines grew less severe. The thoughts that cut too close lost some precision. A mildness touched the corners of my chest and left them easier to hold than yesterday. I did not call it joy, that would be too much. I called it room, and room was enough. For where there is room, the heart can shift. Where there is space, the harder law can loosen. Not full light, just softer edges. This is the hour that softens edges, the inward turn towards something kind. gentler rhythm through the mind. What was sharp and starts to ease, what was low starts lifting thin. This is the hour that softens edges, and I stay open to it. The cost of living tightly held, of measuring all tenderness for risk. It keeps the deeper bruises out a while, but keeps the healing out as well. So now I practice staying in the hush, without assuming hush must always wound. The body learns another kind of rule, a slower one, a truer one, less afraid. Even memory enters differently today, less like a hand around the throat, more like an old tide crossing farther off, still audible, but no longer my whole shore. Not an ending, just a gentler contour. This is the hour that softens edges, the inward turn towards something kind. No flaming dawn demands attention, just a gentler rhythm through the mind. What was sharp and starts to ease, what was low starts lifting thin. This is the hour that softens edges, and I stay open to it. Let it smooth, let it spread, let it quiet what was said. What was hard can bend again, what was closed can answer then. Let it smooth, let it stay. March can heal in muted ways. This is the hour that softens edges, not complete but clearly true. Not every spring begins with color, some begin in how pain moves. What was sharp and starts to ease, what was low starts lifting thin. This is the hour that softens edges, and I stay open to it. Some hours arrive to make sharp things less certain. Morning does not hurry when it wants to heal. I woke inside a slower shade of light, not dim in sorrow, dim in tenderness. The old fatigue still leaned against the day, but without that former certainty of rule. A more forgiving current crossed the hush, as if the air had learned another tongue. It spoke in loosened breath, in milder thought, and less demand to prove that I was fine. No one outside would know the change was real. No witness could have marked the subtle shift. Yet deep within, the harder pulse grew calm, and calm was enough to call a turn. No quick bloom, just a slower morning. This is a slower shade of morning, where the inward frost begins to fade. No bright display remakes the landscape, just peace arriving in a narrow world. used to stand against the gentler hours, afraid their quiet would not hold its ground. But this one stays beneath the passing doubt, beneath the old reflex to guard and brace. It moves like patience under every thought, like room returning to a crowded chest. The spirit often changes without drama, through almost, through halftones, through hidden shifts. And hidden shifts can still remake a life when they return again and stay a while. So I let the slower shade remain and do not ask it yet to become noon. No loud assurance, just a steadier air. This is a slower shade of morning, where the inward frost begins to fade. No bright display remakes the landscape, just peace arriving in a narrower way. What was distant starts to soften, what was burdened leans toward rest. This is a slower shade of morning, and I trust what it suggests. Let it stay, let it grow. Small returns still change the soul. What was tense can turn and ease, what was low can breathe in peace. Let it stay, let it warm. Nothing gentle comes by force. This is a slower shade of morning, not complete but deeply kind. Not the end of inward winter, just the first release in time. What was distant starts to soften, what was burdened leans toward rest. This is a slower shade of morning, and I trust what it suggests. Morning does not hurry when it wants to heal. What drifted through me was not emptiness. I used to fear the slow and formless hours, the ones that seemed too quiet to contain a cure. They felt like space where nothing living moved, just dim delay and held back breath. But now the drift has changed its meaning here. It carries not absence but a softened grace. The ache remains, though less determined now. Its shape grows looser in the moving air. A hidden kindness travels with the hush, crossing the inward fields without a sound. And while the world appears almost the same, the soul is learning not to brace so hard. Not a wave, just a drifting mercy. There is mercy hidden in the drift, where the inward tide turns slow and kind. No sudden heat remakes the season, just a gentler pressure in the mind. What was folded starts unfolding, what was distant starts to lift. There is mercy hidden in the drift, and I let it alter me. The body keeps the memory of cold, the way it once had to survive. before it lands. Yet softness stays a little longer. Now it lingers where it used to disappear. That difference changes more than words can say. A steadier answer rises underneath. The dim no longer means the day is lost. The hush no longer sounds like final lack. What drifted through me was a kinder law, teaching the older fear a slower voice, not a cure, just a truer climate. There is mercy hidden in the drift, where the inward tide turns slow and kind. No sudden heat remakes the season, just a gentler pressure in the mind. What was folded starts unfolding. What was distant starts to lift. There is mercy hidden in the drift, and I let it alter me. Let it move, let it stay, let it find a softer way. What was bent can open wide. What was low can rise inside. Let it move, let it sift. Mercy hidden in the drift. There is mercy hidden in the drift, not beyond pain, but through it still. Not a sudden end to winter, just a softer power at work within. What was folded starts unfolding. What was distant starts to lift. There is mercy hidden in the drift, and I let it alter me. What drifted through me was not emptiness. The quiet changes first. Everything else follows later. I have listened to silence in many forms, some hollow, some heavy, some almost cruel. I know the kind that closes every door, that leaves the spirit speaking to itself. But this new hush is not that older hush. It holds a gentler pressure in its core. Not color yet, but the beginning of color. Not warmth yet, but a leaning toward warmth. The older ache is still an undertone, though no longer the only sound I hear. Another layer joins the inner air, soft enough to miss, true enough to trust. No sudden bloom, just color learning silence. This is where the quiet learns color, where the dullness loosens into depth. No brighter rival claims the morning, just a milder pulse beneath the breath. What was hidden starts returning. What was tired starts to sing. This is where the quiet learns color, and I remain to hear it. I once mistook intensity for truth, believed what hurt the most must mean the most. But truth can enter under softer signs, through easing, through nearness, through lowered fear. The body teaches what the mind forgets, that healing often starts in subtle rooms. That room itself can be a holy thing when all the inward walls have stood too long. So I let this pale beginning have its pace. I do not call it small because it's quiet. A lower voice can still remake alive if it stays, if it stays, if it stays. No high flame, just a deepening tint. This is where the quiet learns color, where the dullness loosens into depth. what was pale can gather hue, what was numb can answer through. Hear it rise, do not run. Quiet change has just begun. This is where the quiet learns color. Before the bloom, before the day is clear. Not completed, not dramatic, just enough to carry me from here. What was hidden starts returning, what was tired starts to sing. This is where the quiet learns color, and I remained here. The quiet changes first, everything else follows later. I am learning a gentler law. For years I lived by harsher weather rules. Hold more, say less, brace early, trust delay. They shaped my steps through colder inward rooms, and I mistook that narrowness for wisdom. But March has brought another kind of law, not written high but carried under breath. It says the heart can open without force. It says the ache can soften without shame. It says the quiet need not mean the end. It says the dim can still contain a way. And hearing that beneath the daily gray, I feel the older rules release their hold. No command, just a softer order. This is a gentler law of March, where what was clenched gives way by degrees. No blazing sign declares the season, just a steady occurring through the grief. What was rigid starts remembering, what was burdened learns release. This is a gentler law of March, and I live inside it now. The body does not change from words alone. It changes when the pressure truly shifts. A milder silence changes how I stand. A calmer room changes how I breathe. The old reflex still sometimes reaches first, still half expects the colder turn to win. But there is less obedience in me now to every dark conclusion. Fear suggests another law is teaching me to stay, to wait, to loosen, not to close so soon. And all this nearly visible grace has become enough to call my spirit back. No loud decree, just inward easing. This is a gentler law of March, where what was clenched gives way by degrees. No blazing sign declares the season, just a steady occurring through the grief. What was rigid starts remembering, what was burdened learns release. This is a gentler law of March, and I live inside it now. Let it teach, let it stay, let it write another way. What was hard can turn and bend, what was closed can open then. Let it teach, let it start. March rewrites the guarded heart. This is a gentler law of March, sure, not the end of every winter, just the rule that makes it less severe. What was rigid starts remembering, what was burdened learns release. This is a gentler law of March, and I live inside it now. I am learning a gentler law. Not every warmth arrives with fire. There is a kind of warmth too quiet to dazzle, too inward to be borrowed by the eye. I found it where the darker thoughts grew thin, where even waiting felt less like a wound. No flame burned through the muted day, no sudden break remade the whole horizon. But underneath the worn-out gray I knew a gentler heat kept entering by breaths. It altered how the silence sat with me. It changed the distance between sorrow and name. And though the world looked nearly just as still, my inner weather had begun to turn. No spark, just a hidden warming. This is the warmth that has no flame, the quiet kind that stays. No wild display of healing color, just a milder pulse through the ache. What was frozen starts to listen, what was lowered learns to move. This is the warmth that has no flame, and I let it gather slow. I used to mistrust all subtle things, because subtle things had often gone too soon. But this one lingers underneath the doubt, returns again even when fear replies. It does not ask me to deny the cold, it only asks I leave some room for more. The body answers first with easier breath, the spirit answers next with less defense. And maybe that is what becoming is, not being changed at once, but changed enough to stop mistaking caution for a home, to stop mistaking winter for the whole. No blaze, just a longer kindness. This is the warmth that has no flame, the quiet kind that stays. No wild display of healing color, just a milder pulse through the ache. What was frozen starts to listen, what was lowered learns to move. This is the warmth that has no flame, and I let it gather slow. Hold it close, soft and low. Hold it close, let it grow. What was cold can lose its claim, what was dim can shift its name. Hold it close, do not frame every warmth by visible flame. This is the warmth that has no flame, not bright but deeply real, not the end of all the coldness, just the first true turn toward heal. What was frozen starts to listen, what was lowered learns to move. This is the warmth that has no flame, and I let it gather slow. Not every warmth arise with fire. It is not full return, but it is near. its slow way in. The rush is bright and leaves the room too soon. The truer thing arrives by nearness first. It enters through a less defended breath, through how the silence doesn't wound as much. The old ache still is there, but farther off, less like a wall and more like distant weather. And in the place it's leaving leaves behind, another kind of life begins to stir. No bloom has opened yet, no final thaw, just the felt nearness of a softer return. Not complete, just unmistakably closer. This is the nearness of soft return, the hour before the inward bloom. No sudden light remakes the landscape, just calm arriving in the room. What was weary starts remembering, what was hidden starts to wake. This is the nearness of soft return, and I let it reach me fully. In darkness or release, and held or healed, but March has shown another way to turn. Through half tones, through easing, through gentle room. The heart does not need spectacle to know. It knows by how it carries memory now. Less like a stone inside the chest, more like an old tide passing through a dusk. That difference changes what I call a day. That difference changes how I stand in gray. And standing here, I do not ask for more than what this honest nearness already gives. Not a finish, just a faithful coming. This is the nearness of soft return, the hour before the inward bloom. No sudden light remakes the landscape, just calm arriving in the room. What was weary starts remembering, what was hidden starts to wake. This is the nearness of soft return, and I let it reach me fully. Let it near, let it stay, let it find its tender way. What was far can answer soon, what was dim can change its tune. Let it near, let it move, there is calm enough to prove. This is the nearness of soft return, not the end but deeply true. Not the whole of spring already, just the first clear path into it. What was weary starts remembering, what was hidden starts to wake. This is the nearness of soft return, and I let it reach me fully. It is not